On the 8th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me how to stop fighting naturally. Welcome to day 8 of the 12 days of Christmas, where every other day from December 1st to December 25th, you'll be receiving in your email box a short video about some sort of practical spirituality tool or healing that you can use right away to improve the quality of your relationships. And today's short little video is about how to stop fighting naturally. And one of there's more aspects to it than what I'm going to be explaining today, but this is the basic principle that's at the bottom of everything. And that's the spiritual principle is what you resist persists. For example, when you're beating yourself up inside, right? Everybody beats themselves up inside, and that comes from a heart chakra vow of I will always be perfect. And that's when, there's like a fine distinction between super high standards and then that perfectionist part where um, everything has to be perfect or else you won't be accepted, you won't be noticed, you won't be loved, right? And to police that vow of perfection, to be sure everything is perfect, you have a huge inner critic. Does that make sense? I think so. So here comes this inner critic, and it's just going to come and beat yourself up. Oh, it's good. So you could have done this, you could have done this, you could have done that. And so then you fight back. So what your inner critic is the one that's resisting you going out into the world. It's resisting you speaking up for yourself. It's resisting you asking for what you really want. Because somewhere along the way, what you really wanted, or speaking up for yourself, or being seen or being heard, was dismissed in some hurtful way that destroyed how you felt about yourself, that destroyed who you really wanted to be, who you really are, not who you really wanted to be, destroyed who you really were. And instead, you got rewarded for cleaning your room, saying please and thank you, doing well in school, winning and achieving. And so that's a really great way to win in the physical world. And there's nothing wrong with that until you come up to the point in time where you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the accolades. And that your winning and your achieving isn't something that fuels your soul. So how does that relate to what you resist persists? Good question. I almost got lost on that one. So what you resist persists is when you're having an argument with someone and say this is your true self that's like, maybe created. So here's your true self that maybe wants to ask for something that they really want. Like, will you please hug me? Will you please notice me? Will you please hear me? Will you please let me have what I really want? And then your inner critic that often represents the person in power in your life, but your inner critic is saying, no, 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 it's not good enough. You're not good enough. You don't want that, something along those lines. And so that's when you're fighting yourself. And so that you're at a detente. You don't go farther one way or the other because the power of your soul is the power, it's tied to the power of the universe. So it's like super important. And to hold that down, to hold that back with your inner critic policing you're not perfect, right? It's a battle that wears you out. And so not only that, the problem never goes away. You never allow yourself to ask for what you want and get it. You never allow yourself to be seen, to be heard, to be taken care of in the unique ways that you want. And so the way around that is to notice where you're fighting yourself and then to have a conversation of understanding, because here's that Einstein principle again. You have to see, and Stephen Covey, seek to understand. Because when you can understand in that you're looking from a higher perspective, then you can go, oh, and there's compassion, and you really find out what it is that you're truly wanting. And in the case of resist, persist, with your inner critic versus your soul trying to express yourself, when you realize that all your inner critic wants to do is to protect your soul from being beaten down again somehow, from being rejected, abandoned, criticized, hurt, overpowered, destroyed in some deeply emotional, disturbing way. That's all that this vow of perfection is trying to do. It's like it wants to be loved. And if your true self makes a mistake, that's the wound. That's the original wound. And so when you have a conversation between all that, then you can have your inner critic go, oh, I was just protecting you. And so then you can work together with your inner critic, and the inner critic can turn into your inner cheerleader by saying, oh, I didn't know this is what you really want. And those bad people aren't around anymore. You're not tiny. You do have a voice. You do have a mission. You do deserve to be seen, because everyone does. It's a spiritual principle, right? You do deserve to get what you want, because everyone does. You're a child of the divine. You're a child of God. You're a child of nature, right? And so when you do that, then all of a sudden your inner critic turns into your inner cheerleader, and you can use that. You change the direction, you change the intention behind the inner critic in your heart to turn into your inner cheerleader. And so then you push down, and you use that force, that strong force, because it takes a lot of energy. So you're very strong. You take that very strong part of you that was beating yourself up and turn it into supporting you, and then allows your true self to shine, to show itself, to express itself in the unique ways that you've been designed to do. That soul purpose, that always leads to happiness, joy, fulfillment. And it's an upward spiral of mutually beneficial abundance. So that's just one aspect of what you resist persists. And if you want more,